Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to Fusion Effects. My name is Sam, and in this video, I'll be showing you how to make the simple loading screen using Fusion from Davinci Resolve. Let's jump right in. We're going to start by creating a new Fusion composition in the media pool with a duration of 10 seconds. Drop the composition into the timeline and click on the Fusion page. Our first element will be the background. In the node grid, create a background node and connect its output to the input of the media out node. You can change the color of the background by selecting the background node, and in the inspector tab, I'm going to choose dark gray. It's also a good idea to label the nodes so we can keep organized. We can do that by pressing F2. I'm going to call this node main background. Next, we are going to bring in our logo that we made in Photoshop. Simply drag the file from the media pool and drop it into the node grid. Place a merge node between the background node and the media out node and connect the output of the logo node to the merge node's foreground. We can also change the size of the logo by using the merge node. And when that is done, we can label our node by pressing F2. Our next element in this scene will be the progress bar. We will be making two long rectangles, one with a gray border and the other will be a solid progress bar. Let's first start with creating the rectangle with a gray border. Create a rectangle mask node, then create a background node. Let's give the rectangle mask a color by connecting the rectangle node's output to the mask input of the background node. Create another merge node and place it directly after the first merge node from our logo. Finally, connect the output of the background node to the foreground of the merge node. Our rectangle should appear, and we can now start making changes so it can look like a progress bar. Start by selecting the rectangle node and uncheck the solid option inside the inspector. This will make our rectangle have borders. Adjust the height and the width of the rectangle to be slightly smaller than our logo. We can change the color of the border by using the background node. Let's choose light gray. We are also going to round off the corners by changing the corner radius. Again, rename the node when we are finished by pressing F2. The second part of creating our progress bar is making the solid loading bar. Duplicate the rectangle node that we created by pressing Ctrl C and then Ctrl V. Let's rename this so we don't get confused. Connect the solid rectangle node's output to the bordered rectangle mask input. Check the solid option in the inspector to change the rectangle into a solid mask. Currently, the solid mask is sitting directly on top of our bordered rectangle. We will start the keyframe animation after all other elements have been created. The next part of our scene is the loading text. Click on the text tool and then create a new merge node. Place the merge node after the previous node and connect them. Connect the text node's output into the foreground input of the merge number 3's node. Write our text in the empty text field and change our font and size accordingly. We can also use the control handles to easily move the text. Move to the shading tab to change the font's color. Let's rename the node when we are done. The next element will be creating the spinning wheel. Start by clicking on the ellipse tool, the background tool, and the merge tool. As we did before, place and connect the merge node directly after the previous merge node. Connect the background node output to the merge node's foreground, and finally connect the ellipse node output into the mask effect input of the background. Our circle should appear. Uncheck the solid box in the inspector to change the circle into an outline. Adjust the thickness by increasing the border width and change the width and height values to change the size of our wheel. Make sure both values are the same to keep it a perfect circle. We can change the value of the y-axis to move our wheel further down. Click on the background node to change the color of the wheel. Select the ellipse mask node and shorten the length by decreasing the length value. Rename the nodes when we are done. Our background looks a little dull, so we are going to add a radial gradient in the center to make it more appealing. Let's hide all the nodes except our logo so we can focus on where to place our gradient. We can hide them by selecting all related nodes and pressing Ctrl P. Select the main background node and in the inspector, change solid color to gradient. Choose radial for gradient type. We can change the colors by selecting the triangle markers on each side. Use the control handles to adjust the length of the radial. Now that our elements have been created, we will start keyframing the animation. Let's start with the logo. We want our logo to slide up and fade into the scene about 2 seconds in. Our timeline is 30 frames per second, so frame 60 will be 2 seconds. Select the merge node that the logo is connected to. Move the playhead to frame 60, then mark a keyframe next to the blend slider. This means the logo will be at full opacity at frame 60. Move the playhead to frame 15, change the blend value to 0. This means the logo will start to appear at the half-second mark. The next step is to make our logo slide up as it is fading in. Move the playhead to frame 60, then mark a keyframe next to the Y-axis. Move the playhead to frame 15 and then lower the Y-axis. The logo should now slide up and fade in like we want it. We can now bring back the rest of our elements and start working on keyframing the progress bar. Select all the disabled nodes and press Ctrl P to make them active again. Disable the solid bar node for now so we can work on animating just the outline progress bar. Select the node with the outline, mark a keyframe for the width when it is about 1.5 seconds or about frame 105 after the logo comes into view. Go to frame 60 and mark the keyframe with the width of 0. This is what it should look like when we play it. Next, let's work on the solid progress bar. Select the solid bar node and press Ctrl P to activate it. We want the progress bar to trail it almost immediately after the outline bar finishes expanding. Move the playhead a few frames after where our outline bar finishes. Mark a keyframe with a width of 0. Then move the playhead about 4 seconds later and mark the keyframe with the width fully expanded. At this point, the animation should look like this. So as you can see, the progress bar looks too constant and smooth. We are going to apply some resistance along the way. To achieve this, we can keyframe different width values at random locations between the start and the finish. Let's move the playhead about 20 frames after the start and increase the width value. Next, move the playhead further ahead and reduce the value of the width. The animation should look like this. After the progress bar fully loads, we want it to blink a few times. Move the playhead a few frames forward. Select the Merge To node. In the Inspector tab, mark a keyframe every 6 frames or so with the blend values at 0 and 1. Repeat this step for about 2 seconds worth of frames. Once you are done, the progress bar should look like this. As a final touch to the progress bar, we are going to add a glow effect. Select the node that gives our bar its color. Press the Shift and Space keys simultaneously to bring up the tool selection. Type in the word glow and choose the glow effect. Select the glow node and in the inspector increase the glow value. Now we will work on animating our loading text. For this element, we want our loading text to fade in at the same time as when our bordered progress bar expands out. Let's move our playhead to where the bar finishes expanding and mark a keyframe beside the blend slider to indicate when the text comes into view. Then move the playhead about 1 second back to start the fading in effect. The last effect we want for our loading text is to make it flash or blink a few times to appear as it is working. We will be doing the same keyframing as we did with the progress bar blinking. Move the playhead a few frames past where the loading text has faded in. Every 15 frames or so, we will change the blend value to 0 and 1 for each keyframe. Repeat this keyframing until you reach where the progress bar has fully expanded. Our final effect will be animating our spinning wheel. First, we want to have it fade in right when the solid bar starts to expand and then have it start rotating. Select the merge node that is connected to the spinning wheel. Move the playhead to the frame where the solid bar is about to expand and mark a keyframe beside the blend slider. Move the playhead back about 20 frames and mark a keyframe beside the blend slider with a value of 0. The wheel should now appear as we want it. Now we want to have it start rotating as soon as it fades in. Move the frame to where the wheel has finished fading in. Select the spinning wheel node and in the Inspector tab, mark a keyframe besides the angle dial. Move the playhead to the end of the progress bar and turn the dial to the desired speed and direction. Keep in mind that the higher the value, the faster the rotation becomes. Let's take a look at the finished product. Thanks everyone for viewing this video. Please make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell to receive more videos just like this.